What's up? A to Z Sports here live on a Thursday. It's really our first time this week talking about the Super Bowl matchup that is just a few days away on Sunday between the Chiefs and the Eagles, and the Titans fan base has two grudges that they have to pick a side on, maybe, or they're just going to hate watch the Super Bowl like a lot of people and figure out whoever wins will decide what to do with it when it happens. But A.J. Brown in his second Super Bowl since being traded from the Titans to the Eagles, and DeAndre Hopkins makes his first Super Bowl in his career after being traded midseason from the Titans to the Chiefs. But what's the grudge like with DeAndre Hopkins? He opened up a little bit this week in New Orleans about what happened at the end of his Titans career in the middle of the season when he got traded, right before he got traded against the Buffalo Bills. We'll play that video from Nick Suss of the Tennessean here in a minute. Then we'll talk about the Chiefs and DeAndre Hopkins as a whole versus what the A.J. Brown personal vendetta still might be 3 years removed. I'm curious about that overall. And Sam, sports trivia take two. I like the idea of playing back-to-back days of trivia. One of them where I get to play with Easton and one of them where I get to play with you to find out how we can do. Yesterday was a tough one, I will say. The chat saved us because it was a very challenging trivia set of answers. It was like deep, like 1970s, 1980s cuts. It was odd, but we did go 9 for 9. It just took us more time to get there. So Sam, welcome in. Gonna have a good show. You were on primetime last night, so gonna have a really solid back-to-back topic here, talking AJ and D-Hop. But let's get this thing rocking and rolling.
Yeah. Hey, let's do it. All right. Got a great show today. Got some takes to fire off. I feel like when we're talking grudges, we're talking about the Super Bowl. It's going to be a great show. Going to figure out the pulse of the Titans fan base, also the pulse of the two of us here on this show. So got a lot to get into, and make sure everybody watching for those reasons likes the show before we kick it off. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button on Facebook if you're watching on Facebook. Do the same thing on YouTube, and share the show with the share button in the bottom right corner on Facebook, or through a repost on the Twitter X timeline. You can also take a YouTube link, send it to a friend or a group chat, and let them know that we're going live. And curious to see what your friends might have to think about this topic, where they might come in on this issue. So a lot of reasons to share the show and like the show and just spread the word here on a Thursday morning.
That's right. Let's get it going. Did I say Wednesday?
No, I'm
okay. You're just emphasizing Thursday.
Well, typically, if I was on the show after I did prime time, it would be a Wednesday morning. But we're all over the place in terms of days of the week.
That's right. Now. It's the off season where the day of the week doesn't matter that much. So let's get it going officially. Welcome to A to Z Sports here live on a Thursday morning, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch every weekday morning at 8 Central Time. We are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network. I'm Austin Stanley with Sam Phelan, one of our Titans reporters for A to Z Sports.com, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network. Got to thank our sponsors. They make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process online or in Lebanon at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. We've got TDOT, keeping our state beautiful, and you can join their campaign and get involved at nobodytrashestennessee.com. And our friends at Bart Durham Injury Law. A crash can change your life forever, and help is just a click away at bartdurham.com. And yes, shout out to Mr. Jones. Don't forget your 5-star Google review. So 5-star Google reviews out there. Like the show on Facebook and YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also follow us on Facebook with all of our content. So Sam, grudges. I saw Darren had a comment earlier in the show. He says, "Oh, grudges, I'm back." Yeah, I'm back for this one. Let's talk some grudges here. So there are two grudges. There are former Titans all over both these organizations. Now, you did an article, what was it, Sunday night, or maybe it was a couple weeks ago after the championship games, of all the former Titans that are involved in the Chiefs versus Eagles Super Bowl, but they are headlined by two superstar wide receivers in DeAndre Hopkins and A.J. Brown. But I mean, Kari Blasingame is in this game. Kyle Phillips on the Eagles practice squad. It doesn't just stop at D-Hop and AJ.
Yeah, former Titans linebackers coach Bobby King, the linebackers coach for the Eagles. Yeah, you mentioned Phillips and Blossom game and Hopkins and Brown, and I'm trying to remember. There
I
was
think Anthony Ferkser is with the Chiefs.
Squad. He's on the P squad with the Chiefs. Yeah. Mike Borgonzi, I guess a current
Still working
that still has ties to this game.
That's right.
There's a lot of it. I'm trying to remember if there was anybody else, but there's it's a long list of, of guys.
Yeah, it is. So, all right. So look, we got people complaining. Top tier says I have zero grudges. Maybe you don't, but that's the whole point of today's conversation, because DeAndre Hopkins was talking to the media on opening night at Super Bowl week in New Orleans and was asked about his departure from the Titans organization earlier in the week. And Sam, you and I had this conversation set up for Thursday before D-Hop talked. And here was DeAndre Hopkins in the video, courtesy of Nick Suss from the Tennessee. And you got something to add before the video?
It's just interesting. We were going to talk about this subject today before this video came out. This idea that the Titans grudges that are in the Super Bowl with AJ and with Hopkins specifically being headliners in that regard. And I think the topic got even more interesting with this video and with Hopkins' media availability during Super Bowl week.
All right, here is D-Hop talking to reporters.
It meant a lot for the Titans to trade me to the Chiefs. I got to thank Miss Amy and Rand and his crew for allowing this to happen, because without them, I wouldn't be in a situation. So I got to give Nashville and Miss Amy, a lot of thanks.
How much voice did you have in that?
What's that?
I was going to say, how much voice did you have in that trade?
I went to, when we lost to the Bills, and, there was a lot of stuff in the media saying that I got benched. And, I'm not the type to go on social media and to speak my truth, or, to speak what happens, because I feel like everything kind of always passed. But I didn't get benched. That's the first time in my career where I was like, man, I don't belong out here on this field right now. We weren't winning. No plays were being called for me. Not that I'm a player that ever needs the ball, but if I'm on the field, I want to be included in something. And so I took myself out of the game, and I saw a lot of things in the media saying I got benched, and I let it go. But the next day I went to Rand's office, and I was like, man, I'm almost losing love for this game, being in this situation. And I could talk to Rand like that because Rand, he understands me, and he was like, man, I see it in your eyes. I see it that, this isn't a place where you might want to be. And, we had that tough conversation, and the next day I got traded to the Chiefs.
Thanks, man.
Oh, there's DeAndre Hopkins. Did not get benched. Now, Sam, I don't remember any of us saying that DeAndre Hopkins got benched in the media, right? That was not the narrative that I remember us spending a few days talking about him getting benched.
Yeah, I don't know what was out there in broad media, especially national media, but, I can speak for what we were doing over here at A to Z and kind of our takeaways from that Bills game. I remember it very well. The takeaway in my eyes was always that Hopkins took himself out of the game, maybe that he was taken out, but either way that he was unhappy. The Bills game clearly pointed towards a trade coming because of the way that he was standing on the sideline, was kind of away from the team in the middle of the game. There was questions like, okay, did they take him out for injury prevention just because they were getting blown out, so they took Hopkins out so that they could trade him and they didn't need him in there? Did he take himself out? There was a lot of speculation that I remember, but I don't think anybody ever thought that the Titans were like, hey, Hop, we're going to bench you. Like that. It was like if the Titans took him out, it was to keep him healthy to trade him.
Yes. Yeah. And because I remember I tweeted, I was like, DeAndre Hopkins looks like he was told mid second half he was getting traded. And then Brian Callahan was asked about DeAndre Hopkins, because you were at the game, Sam, right? You were at that Bills game in the press box.
But I would say, I didn't notice it really at the Bills game.
Because it was the TV copy that was showing Diop just
kind of
disassociated.
Where he was on the sideline with all the stuff that happened. I didn't even realize that was a thing. I rushed to the airport in Buffalo, got on a plane. By the time I landed in Nashville, I was looking and scrolling Twitter, and I was seeing all this stuff about how D-Hop was standing all lonely over by the, off the bench. And it's not something that I had noticed in real time.
Yeah, it was strange. And then Brian Callahan was saying, I was told that he had soreness, that he was dealing with soreness and he was out. And like, that's all the head coach said after the game. So being benched, no. But then he said right there, like his words, he pulled himself out of the game. He pulled himself out of the Bills game. And a lot of people would say that's called quitting. Some people say that's not quitting. I don't know. And so I think I'm curious to get the Titans fan perspective on how this affects your view of DeAndre Hopkins, because DeAndre Hopkins was a Titan for a year and a half. He jumped in and connected to the city of Nashville very strongly. And I mean, he had a football camp this past summer, right before the season when he was hurt. And we were a part of that. You interviewed D-Hop there, gave us time, gave the kids a ton of time there. And then, we quit on the team mid-game. And that's the story. It's whether you agree with that or not, he quit on the football team in the middle of the game. So, you can blame him or not, but I think that's what we're going to get to is how much does that affect the way you feel about DeAndre Hopkins? And we're going to put this in 3 parts: a lot, a little, or none. And, so I see, Rashid says, I can't blame him. So maybe Rashid is a none of the affecting for this, how he affects, how he sees D-Hop any differently. So we'll get to that. How does this affect the way you see DeAndre Hopkins and feel about DeAndre Hopkins after, quitting on the Titans and admitting to it mid-Bills game? We'll get to that here in a second. A lot, a little, or none in the way you view DeAndre Hopkins. But first, I'll tell you guys about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever you get hurt in life, you have to know who you can fall back on, who you can trust to go get you back on the field of play and off the sidelines and deal with that injury the right way. When DeAndre Hopkins had his MCL injury back in training camp, we had one of the experts at the Bone and Joint Institute educate us on what that injury is. And Diop made it back to play in week 1 with that injury. And we learned a lot about the MCL. They've got all the experts, the resources, and the support team there for you to help you deal with whatever that injury may be. You can book an appointment in Franklin when you need them online at boneandjointtn.org.
Guys, I just got to ask you something real quick. Please go and hit the like button on the show. What are you doing if you're not liking the show? Like the show. We're talking grudges. We're talking Super Bowl. Whether you're, more supportive of D-Hop or less supportive of D-Hop, wherever you fall on the issue, make sure you're hitting the thumbs up. That's the best way to support A to Z Sports here on a Thursday morning. So Austin and I are looking at the like numbers on the show. We are monitoring the like numbers on the show. I'm requesting that you go and you hit that thumbs up. That's the best way to help out.
Yeah, we need more. Daniel says he liked it. Okay, so DeAndre Hopkins told reporters at the Super Bowl this week that he pulled himself out of the Bills game and was ready to be moved. And again, appreciated Rand and Miss Amy for sending him to the Chiefs. Now he's playing in a Super Bowl, but he wasn't involved in the offense. And he said he did not think he belonged in the field. So how does quitting on the Titans affect how you feel about DeAndre Hopkins? 3 answers. I just put up a YouTube poll, and Sam, I'll send you the chat. A lot, a little, or none. A lot, a little, or none.
Interested seeing where we come in on this. Darren says none. We got none from Eric. We got none from Maserati Mac. We got none from Scott and Anthony. Titans Kyle says a little. Rashid says none. Lewis says none. Hoshi says none. A little from Bork. We got more none right here. My view on D-Hop hasn't changed. If anything, it makes the Titans look worse to me, says Brad Anderson.
Can we pause on that one?
Yeah.
How? How does this make the Titans look worse? And Brad, you can expand on it. Like, D-Hop quit on the team, and there's more nuance to this, right? Like, the Bills game was game 6 of the season. Game 6. DeAndre Hopkins was coming off of a torn MCL when he was on a pitch count, a snap count for the first month of the season. Will Levis was bad. Will Levis gets hurt. The Titans had a bye week. The Titans lost when Will Levis came back to the Colts, and they go up to Buffalo, one of the best teams in the NFL, and get shellacked after having a competitive first half. It's like, I don't understand how this makes the Titans look worse. Like, I think it's interesting that a lot of people, I just put up the YouTube poll, and it's early in the YouTube poll. It's only been up for 2 minutes, but 63% say this, 62% say this impacts their view on D-Hop. None. Like, he quit on the football team. Like, I find that strange that we are in this day and age that quitting doesn't matter anymore. I find that very odd. And that makes the team that he quit on look worse, according to Brad.
I think, here's the counter argument, right? He said he was losing love for the game, right? Which was evidenced. Rand Carthon agreed with that statement, saying he saw it in his eyes, right? That could be, like, the counter argument is that could be a reflection on Brian Callahan. They say all the time, right? Youth sports, whatever level of sport, you usually have a coach that makes you fall out of love with it. The culture,
or a coach that makes you fall in love with it, right? He goes, yeah, one way.
Yeah, I mean, the culture of the Titans in 2024, the lack of success, the offense. I mean, let's not forget, we were sitting here just as puzzled as Diop probably was, that he was not being targeted in the offense. They're throwing the ball to Treylon Burks more than they're throwing the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. And that was a very puzzling thing about what the heck the Titans were doing, because the one game that you saw them actually give him looks, like that Jets game, he had 90 yards and a touchdown or whatever it was. So there could be an argument there of whatever the Titans were doing on offense made D-Hop lose love, which is a poor reflection of the franchise.
Okay. And so, I mean, the historical stat that will never change is that DeAndre Hopkins and Calvin Ridley were teammates for 6 games together, and neither had multiple catches in the same game. Like, it was either one catch for D-Hop and a bunch for Ridley, or flip-flopped. And again, I think that I don't think it's too easy to blame Brian Callahan on this, because Greg says, no, that's on the quarterback play. He's a wide receiver. And, you know, it's the coach has talked about how he had to get guys more involved early, but the quarterback is in charge of throwing the ball where the ball needs to go. And then again, DeAndre Hopkins was limited when it comes to his snaps because he was coming off an ACL. And by the way, he was also in Los Angeles rehabbing that knee and not in the Titan facility throughout the month of training camp. Right. So, like, there's so many different levels to this of nobody, like, who needs to be blamed. It was a bad situation. And I think that's, like, I don't think it should make the Titans look worse. DeAndre Hopkins decided he doesn't want to play for this team anymore. He pulled himself out of the Bills game. It should make you feel a little bit different about DeAndre Hopkins. You don't have to go anti-D-Hop at all, but I do think it's weird that a guy quit on his team mid-game and people are like, whatever, it makes Titans look bad.
I would agree with the sense with you in the sense that it does affect it at least a little bit, right? Because I am all for athletes standing up for themselves and protecting themselves when it's not worth it for them, right? Like, you could be an MLB pitcher who hasn't gotten your big deal yet, and you've been making league minimum, and you could go blow out your arm, right? Yeah. And I think there is something to the fact of, hey, I'd like to get a little bit more security before I go and I put my body on the line for this team. Off topic, but there was a White Sox pitcher this past year who former Tennessee Vol, Garrett Crochet, who hadn't thrown more than like 60 innings in a season or 40 innings in a season before 2024. And he had pushed himself up to 125 innings because he moved to a starting pitching role. And the White Sox, he was pitching really well, and the White Sox were looking to trade him at the trade deadline. And Garrett Crochet said publicly, unless I get a contract extension from the team that I get traded to, I won't be pitching in the playoffs for that team. Made it very clear that, hey, I'm not going to 200 innings and risking my body unless there's some security here.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
If you're an NFL player who hasn't gotten that big contract extension yet and you're risking putting your body out there on the line, also fair. I think it's different when you're D-Hop and you are a veteran that is getting paid handsomely by the Titans to be on this football team, and you're getting paid to play, right? Like, I don't think you're necessarily allowed to like sign this $20 million contract and then if it's not going the way you want, just be like, I'm good. Like I'm good. I don't feel like doing it, but I still expect my paychecks or whatever. Like once you're getting paid to show up and play and be there for your team. So it definitely is quitting. It definitely is not the kind of and maybe D-Hop just saw it as a situation that was too far gone and was not like fixable. Therefore, he didn't care anymore.
Did he have a bad, like everybody's got bad moments, right? Like, did he have a bad moment in the middle of a nationally televised NFL game in Buffalo where he just had this wave of just like, this sucks. I don't want to do this anymore, and got stuck in that headspace for like 15 minutes. And then he was like 20 yards away from the rest of the team on the sideline, not playing. And then all of a sudden he decided he want to be traded. Like, you can still do all the stuff after the game of, hey, I'm ready to be out. But he did cause a scene.
Look,
by the way he acted on the sideline.
I mean,
he wasn't throwing a tantrum.
Darren says he's a legend. The rule doesn't apply to him, which I guess is true from he says legends don't have to play by regular rules.
Yes, superstar treatment is real. And I yeah, for sure.
Which I totally do agree with. But it also doesn't mean that it doesn't impact the way that I feel about some of those legends. I have grudges against NBA players because
how many people watching the show are going to complain about the calls that Patrick Mahomes gets on Sunday?
Well, outside of calls, right? Like, just when the biggest complaint in the NBA right now is the fact that, you don't have many superstar guys who are willing to be playing for, the Minnesota Timberwolves when they're mediocre and just be a one jersey guy that sticks it out with their organization. Everybody's ring chasing. If you're not good, they demand a trade. James Harden and Russell Westbrook, and this is what Kevin Durant did. It's what LeBron did. It's like my way, and you get me superstars, and I'm on a contending team, and I get the ball in my hands. And if not, I'm out, and I'm just going to sit out, and I'm not going to play. And people hate the NBA for it. So can you do it if you're LeBron or if you're a superstar? You can, but it also is going to affect the way that people view you. Everybody views, and to me, I think this is why, I have a hard time as an NBA hater in many ways, hating Steph Curry. I have a lot of respect for the fact that Steph Curry was drafted by the Warriors, has always been a Warrior, has never been the guy who really just sits out. He's played
load management guy.
He's played through a lot of some really bad years with the Warriors, and he's always there, and he always performs, and he delivers. And I think that affects your legacy in almost equal to what you do on the field.
Yeah, and I think Ashley could just nail it because we haven't gotten to this yet either. It's not like D-Hop is making a huge impact in KC either, because he's sitting there talking about how he's not involved in the offense. He's not getting the football. The team's bad. And he's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, but let me push back on that, though, because the argument is, all right, well, he wasn't involved in Tennessee, so he was unhappy, and now he's not involved in KC. I mean, winning does matter.
Oh, huge.
You're late in your career. D-Hop knows that he doesn't have a ton of time left. If you're playing for a bad team and you're the number one guy, right? If you're Adam Thielen the last couple of years, I'm sure Adam Thielen is plenty happy. He knows he's not winning a Super Bowl with Carolina, but it is nice to be the guy, to be the featured wide receiver that's getting 10, 12 targets a game. So to be both not involved and on a team that you feel like you're not playing for anything, I can understand why a guy of D-Hop's status in the NFL at this stage in his career isn't all that entertained or interested in doing that.
Yeah, he's got 3 catches since Christmas, right? And Valentine's Day is next week. So it's definitely an odd stretch here of what happened. And let's do this, Sam. How about do we remember all the numbers of DeAndre Hopkins has had 1 catch in every game of his NFL career? Like it was like 170 something games when he got traded from the Titans, and the Titans, MCL tear and all, he kept going through that number. And I don't know how this matters.
Is the underrated thing about this year, by the way, is the fact that he tore his MCL in training camp and is playing through it still.
Yeah. And so look, if he had, according to the game log, he had at least 1 catch in every game that he played with the Chiefs. So that worked until the divisional round of the playoffs. And so I don't know if that counts in the playoffs, if that streak continues or not. But that was a wild streak where he was only behind Jerry Rice, I believe, in that. And so, all right, let's get AJ Brown involved here, because I do think before this week, before DeAndre Hopkins says, you know what? Yeah, I pulled myself out of the Bills game. I didn't get benched. I quit. I don't think anybody in the Titans fan base held any grudge against DeAndre Hopkins. I think most people like DeAndre Hopkins. I like DeAndre Hopkins still. But then you have AJ Brown, who maneuvered his way in a trade out of Tennessee to the Eagles, who's now playing in his 2nd Super Bowl with the Eagles since being traded from the Titans, in a trade that people say broke this franchise. They're like 16-38, I think the number 16-35 maybe, in the games since they traded away AJ Brown. So let's ask this. Which former Titans wide receiver would you rather see win the Super Bowl? DeAndre Hopkins or AJ Brown? Because while the personal grudge against AJ Brown is absolutely stronger than the D-Hop one, D-Hop winning a Super Bowl would mean 3 straight Super Bowl titles for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, which is also not good for anybody, including the Titans. So who would you rather see win the Super Bowl? DeAndre Hopkins in a Chiefs 3-peat, or AJ Brown, the one that you let get away? I'm very curious to see the idea behind this one. But first, we'll tell everybody about our friends at T-Dot. T-Dot's out there trying to keep our state beautiful and clean up and find a solution to end littering across Tennessee. Man, there's so much litter everywhere. It's really disappointing of like how litter just finds its way on the sides of our streets and our highways. And T-Dot's out there spending $20 million plus a year to help clean up the litter, but it's still such a huge problem overall. So we can all help in and pitch in and be a solution to the efforts to end littering by changing our bad habits, stop littering ourselves, joining local cleanups by going to nobodytrashestennessee.com. You can also take litter quizzes, learn how to have an impact, whether it's in person, physically picking up litter, or how to support in many other ways at nobodytrashestennessee.com. So join that today, nobodytrashestennessee.com.
Quick call out there to everybody watching on the YouTube channel. Go ahead, make sure you are subscribed to A to Z Sports. And if you're not, hit that subscribe button. You want to know when we are going live, but outside of us going live, we're coming out with YouTube videos all the time, short form YouTube videos talking Titans and, some Tennessee Vols stuff on there. There's a lot of things that might require your attention. And the best way to know when that stuff is out is to subscribe to the YouTube so that it's popping up in your feed all the time, so that you're getting notifications when there's topics and videos and shows that maybe interest you. So hit the subscribe button. It helps us out in a huge way as well. We just passed 20,000 YouTube subscribers, and we're looking to keep pumping and keep going up. So subscribe.
All right. I'm going to update the first poll here in a second, because I haven't done that yet. But the question now, and I'll do a new poll, is which former Titans receiver would you rather see win a Super Bowl? So I'll send Sam in the chat here in a second. But how much does the quitting on the team affect the way you feel about DeAndre Hopkins? A lot, a little, or none? 57% say none, 30% say a little, 12% say a lot. My vote was a little, as I believe that's what you thought as well, Sam. Yeah. Is that correct?
Yep, I would say.
I don't want to speak for yourself. for you.
It's a little. It's probably a
little.
smaller little than your little, but it's still a
Yeah.
little.
I give a little bit more than your little, but it's still a little.
Yeah.
All right. To the chat you go. Who would you rather win a Super Bowl? D-Hop in a Chiefs three-peat or A.J. Brown?
Jay says AJ. Darren says D-Hop. AJ from Lou. AJ Brown from Ashley. AJ from Ramon and Esco. D-Hop from PB. Rashid says D-Hop. Richie says D-Hop. Darius says AJ. Demario says AJ. We got D-Hop from Mr. Jones, who believes AJ Brown backstabbed us. He should have been man and just said he wanted to leave. That's an interesting, interested in seeing what people think about that. Hopkins all day from Christopero. Joshua says D-Hop easy. We got AJ from Traveris and Corey. We got Cole says Hopkins. We got LC says Hopkins. Greg, American Toff. Chris says AJ. Fly Eagles fly. AJ from Titans Kyle. Brown because he's not on the Chiefs, says Scott. Let's see. We got AJ from Bearded Canoe. Sorry, a lot of these have expletives in them, and I'm just trying to sort through which one can and can't post on YouTube. Hopkins, he deserves one and is about done playing. We got a tie. We got AJ. We got D-Hop. We got AJ. 50-50. AJ, D-Hop, both. But if I had to choose AJ from Paige, AJ from Katie, D-Hop, he deserves it. D-Hop refused to root for Brown. AJ, and it's not even close. This is fun, Austin. People feel pretty passionately one way or the other. I don't know if it's a dead even split, but some people are saying, I'm on D-Hop, I'll never root for AJ. And other people are saying, AJ, of course, not close. And then, of course, there's a few just Kyle Phillips votes in here, which I guess is also AJ. So,
man, the YouTube poll is interesting. It's only 1 minute old, so I'm going to let that keep going. Look, I have more of a, I'm both anti-Chiefs and pro Eagles. There's an Eagles jersey hanging on my office wall right there. My wife's family is from Philadelphia. I'm an Eagles guy now. I don't have that emotional connection to the Titans. We've been over this for a lot. I've covered the team for over a decade. It's a weird relationship that you have when you cover a team for a decade. And so I want the Eagles to win the Super Bowl for many reasons. I don't want the Chiefs to win again. I'm sick of Mahomes. I'm sick of everything about the Kansas City Chiefs, but I also want the Eagles to win the Super Bowl because that's what's fun for my family. And that's what I want personally. And A.J. Brown is a more entertaining person than DeAndre Hopkins. So I'm all about A.J. Brown. I like A.J. Brown more than I like DeAndre Hopkins. I covered A.J. Brown for 3 years. I kind of covered D-Hop for 1. So I'm all A.J. Brown in this. I think the guy, I think he's matured a lot since the spring of 2022. I think he has. Spring of 2022 when A.J. Brown, worked his way out of Nashville. He was 24 years old. He was, tweeting and deleting all the damn time. He's done a lot less of that. He's still got some Twitter habits that are not the best, but I do think he's matured quite a bit. So I think easy for me is A.J. Brown over D-Hop here.
I feel pretty passionately the other way.
Okay.
So I much rather see DeAndre Hopkins win the Super Bowl. I'm a pro D-Hop guy. I really, really like DeAndre Hopkins. I really enjoyed covering him. I think some of this could be rooted in a bias as well from the fact that I spent time talking to DeAndre Hopkins covering the team, and I did not cover the team when AJ was here. And so I do think that there could be a little bit of a bias there of just having experienced Hopkins in person. There's a lot of reasons. Number one, AJ's got more chances to do it, right? If I'm rooting and I'm looking right now, Hopkins is probably in the last year where he will have a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl. This might be the last year of his career, period. So I think he is well deserving of a Super Bowl. He has put up with a lot of horrible quarterback play. more bad quarterbacks than anybody else, right? Like I cannot think of another wide receiver that's as notable in terms of career stats and like stuff like that as DeAndre Hopkins, who has played with worse QBs and more of a revolving door at the most important position. So for that reason, he's put up with a lot and deserves it. I think the way that you leave the Titans also matters. And while we can talk about Hopkins forcing his way out in a way that AJ also did, right? Manufacturing a trade by removing himself from that Bills game. I'll remind people that DeAndre Hopkins went to the Kansas City Chiefs, scored a touchdown in his first game, did a Remember the Titans celebration as a way of, paying homage to the Titans, a city that he loved, an organization that he really enjoyed being a part of. This is the same guy that stood at the podium and said, I'm as happy as I've ever been anywhere in my career here right now. This is before the MCL.
Yeah. It changed like 3 months later.
It changed in a hurry for sure, but he still left the organization singing nothing but praises of the organization. Even in that interview that we played, where he talks about the fact that he forced his way out, he says, credit to Amy, credit to Rand. I love them. I love the Titans organization. Thank you for trading me here and giving me this credit. What did AJ do? He was still on Twitter. He was still taunting John Robinson. He was still saying, I'm the best wide receiver that's ever played for the Tennessee Titans. Not true. He's still saying, ain't nobody open in a game where he's not playing. The Titans are playing a football game and are having wide receiver issues, and AJ's taking it upon himself to taunt the fan base. So they are not the same in that respect. Hopkins still, to me, is happy to win even if he's not involved. And one of my biggest issues with A.J. Brown post-Titans has been he's not happy if he wins the Super Bowl unless he gets the ball. That he's always been that way.
I don't know. Hey, that's not how he's been this year.
The Philadelphia Eagles were like 9-1 last year, rolling, and AJ sitting there complaining about not getting targeted enough. Earlier this year, they're running out to the NFC East lead, and they're saying what needs to change. He's like, the passing, right?
But he was right. Like they had issues within their pass game that they had to iron out.
You don't think the Titans passing game needed to be better with Will Levis this year? No, but DeAndre Hopkins never said those things because DeAndre Hopkins, at least in the moment in the locker room, was a good teammate. He always supported, like he talked about how much positivity he saw in Will Levis. Do I believe he meant any of that stuff? Probably not. Let's be real here. But he knew what it took to support a young quarterback, and he did that, and he always wanted to win more than he wanted the numbers for himself. I think that was pretty clear about Hopkins, and it's pretty clear that AJ doesn't feel the same way.
I think the reason why AJ was complaining about the passing game is because they had things to get better. They had to get better if they wanted to make it back to the Super Bowl. It was more of we have to raise our standard. He brought a whole book to complain visually.
I believe that, right? People praised for Brown for bringing this book and being like, wow, look at him. That, to me, was viewed as a mid-playoff win, a playoff blowout pout where he was sitting on the bench.
No, I think he was like literally like centering himself. Like he was making blocks down the field for Saquon.
You're up by 28. Like it's because he's trying not to rage out at the fact that he's got one catch in a playoff win.
He's trying to stay engaged, right? Like Calvin Ridley went on a rant to you in the locker room post game of like, you can't just not throw me the ball and then rely on me in the fourth quarter on 3rd and 7 to catch the ball.
Huge difference here. Calvin Ridley complaining about not wanting the ball makes sense because the Titans aren't giving him the ball and the Titans are losing games. When it's like this isn't working and you're not using your best player, like obviously he's going to be frustrated. The thing with AJ to me has always been if the team is winning and the offense is working because Saquon Barkley's running the ball 28 times and dominating and you're winning football games because of it, then it's not about you, right? A good teammate recognizes the fact that I don't need to get my 100 yards if we go and we win the football game. Calvin Ridley, I think, was not speaking out of I got to get my numbers. I think he's speaking out of I'm frustrated because we're losing and I'm not getting targets early in the game to do something about it. And that to me is the difference between how AJ has been. And maybe you want to take this year out of the equation. I do think there has been slight signs of growth. But forever, even back to his first year with the Eagles, they started like 9-0. Nick Sirianni's got the boys firing. AJ sitting in there saying, well, it's fun again. It's fun. I'm having fun playing football. I'm saying, yeah, AJ, because you're winning. I want to see how your attitude changes when you're not. And when they weren't, he went back to complaining and throwing Jalen Hurts under the bus and throwing Nick Sirianni under the bus. He almost got Nick Sirianni fired in a year that they won.
Jalen Hurts went to the front office to say, hey, Sirianni's got to go. We got to figure this out. And they spent the whole offseason, mending that fence and together, and they got it figured out in the Super Bowl again. I think I get it. Like, yes, is AJ loud? Is AJ a squeaky wheel? Yeah. But sometimes he has to be that because he is good enough to help them make it to the Super Bowl again. I mean, it's not crazy that he's been there for 3 years and they are in the Super Bowl twice.
And my last point here of my last reason why we like to talk about how they left Nashville, right? As a way of remembering how we should feel about them as a Titans fan or a Titans media personality. It's all about how did they leave? And I think it matters. I also think it matters how they came and the impact that they had on Nashville when they were here. DeAndre Hopkins chose Nashville. AJ Brown did not. DeAndre Hopkins, late in his career, chose to be a Tennessee Titan because he resonated with the city of Nashville and the culture of the city of Nashville. There was something about it that felt attractive to him. And I think that was also reflected in the work that he did within the community and the personality that he was when he was here. You can say what you want about how Hopkins handles the media. I think a lot of what he does is very calculated. I think he's a smart dude that knows what he's doing for sure. But I have seen D-Hop up close and personal working, giving back to youth camps, right? And running football camps. I've seen him going up and down and talking to thousands of kids and, embracing them all, taking pictures with them all, signing autographs for them all. The way that he embraced this city, similar to my argument back before the season started when I talked about Derrick Henry. And I said that Titans fans should be rooting for Derrick Henry to win a Super Bowl with the Ravens, even if it means the Ravens winning, because what Derrick Henry did for the city of Nashville and for the Titans organization outweighs any beef you should have with the Baltimore Ravens. I meant that. And I believe.
Look, I'm not anti DeAndre Hopkins. I'm not. I'm anti Chiefs. I'm anti Patrick Mahomes. I'm not anti Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid's phenomenal. But I don't like Patrick Mahomes. I don't want a three-peat there. I think they are the Death Star, the new Death Star of the NFL. And I don't think anybody should want them to win 3 straight. I think if you're not a Chiefs fan, you should be hoping the Eagles win on Sunday.
I think there's an argument to be made, and I feel this way in general, is that if there's an evil empire out there, I like to root for them to win, not because I want them to win, because there is something in me that's like, well, if it can't be me, then I want it to just be the one that makes everybody pissed.
Yeah.
Like this idea of, hey, we need to be the team that takes them down. And if it can't be us, I want nobody deserves happiness.
Yeah,
that's not that as well.
Orlando says, you hate greatness, Austin. No, I don't hate greatness. I hate entitlement. And that's what Patrick Mahomes is. He's entitled.
I agree. Hey, I agree. Let me just say, I agree with you on the Chiefs front. I hate everything about it. I think Patrick Mahomes is very entitled. I think,
I am a person who will change my opinion on things over time when I see different things differently. Yeah. I used to despise Travis Kelce. I thought he was a WWE bro who was annoying and was just yelling jabroni and stuff like that, being a goof. I don't dislike Travis Kelce anymore.
Like Travis Kelce.
Yeah, he's gotten better. I'm not like a Travis Kelce guy, but I don't despise him anymore. Andy Reid's great. He's always been great. And so that's fair there. Patrick Mahomes, I was entertained by everything Mahomes did early, but he's got LeBron face. He's entitled, he whines, he expects everything, and it bothers me. The same way I feel about LeBron James. I don't care about LeBron anymore because I don't care about the NBA anymore, but Mahomes bothers me with his entitlement. So I don't hate greatness. I just don't like the way Mahomes handles himself. I think that's fair.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think that has soured a lot of people on Mahomes. I don't think you're alone in that, right? For a while, it was like, all right, he's great, he's awesome. And there were people that hated that. Right?
He is great. He is awesome.
I hated Patrick Mahomes from the jump because I was like, not for anything he did, for an unfair reason of me just being like, it shouldn't be this easy. You shouldn't be able to be like a rookie and just go win the Super Bowl. Like, I root for guys to have to struggle for their Super Bowls and for their championships and like their glory. And the idea of just, there's these guys who have punched the clock for 10 years who are fighting to get to the Super Bowl, right? You've got year 15, Phil Rivers, still playing good football for like the Chargers or whoever, Colts at the end of his career, getting into the playoffs, just fighting, trying to get to the Super Bowl and get his one. And then you've got a guy who just has birthed into the perfect situation and snaps his fingers and is a champ. There is something about that to me where I'm like, it shouldn't be that easy. And I get, hey, I was being a hater. I was being a hater. That wasn't fair of me. And I think most people felt like that wasn't fair to just hate Mahomes for being good. But I do think over the last 2 years specifically, the way that he has handled himself, and honestly, it extends back 4 years, not 4 years, 2 years specifically. There was a regular season loss to the Bills. And that is the game that sort of flipped it, where the Chiefs were struggling in the regular season. They were not as dominant. They had lost Tyreek Hill. It was the first time that Mahomes was playing with this team that wasn't just weapons on weapons on weapons on weapons and a great offensive line and a great defense. Like, he was having to try and carry this team on his back. And they played the Buffalo Bills in a big regular season game that ended with a pass to Travis Kelce that he made an incredible play, turned around and threw it to Kadarius Toney, who scored a touchdown for the win. And there was a flag, and it was an offsides because Kadarius Toney lined up in the neutral zone. And it was sort of that taste of your own medicine thing of like, this is what everybody else gets. It's like, we get a good play against the Chiefs. Of course, there's a flag on the field. And it was how Mahomes handled failure, how Mahomes handled a loss when he goes to Josh Allen and Josh Allen says, hey, good game, bud. And Mahomes says, worst call I've ever seen. Worst call I've ever seen. And he's complaining in the press conference and he's kind of sitting there moping around saying whatever. He's handling it horribly. That I was like, this guy's never dealt with adversity in the NFL. And he's complaining and he's entitled and he thinks he's supposed to just snap his fingers and be given the Super Bowl every year.
Yeah.
So that sort of started the spiral of a lot of NFL fans to feel how you feel now and how I feel now and how I'm sure a lot of the chat feels, where they're like sick of the Chiefs, not because the Chiefs are good, because they find Patrick Mahomes unlikable. And like,
yes,
and like the oversaturation of it is only contributing to it.
Yes. It's oversaturation is the right way to go. He is unlikable. So to the poll, which former Titans wide receiver would you rather see win the Super Bowl? I voted A.J. Brown. Sam, you're a D-Hop vote, right? The poll right now is...
Also, all right. Before we get into it, am I crazy for saying that?
I mean, like, he's dealt with adversity. I mean,
like what? His dad was a 15-year MLB.
No, look, again, he has had he like dislocated his kneecap. There's different levels of adversity.
Sure, yeah. But like,
you're talking about like life stuff.
He didn't make it out of the mud. Like, Patrick Mahomes was not a make it out of the mud guy. His entire NFL career, he's been in the best situation possible.
No,
for like you could ever ask for a quarterback.
But look, Mahomes also has an incredible work ethic. Like, as much as I think he's entitled and how I don't like how he handles himself and how he acts, I do find it fascinating, his off-season training regimen of how he works on contorting his body and core strength and all that stuff that allows him to do those things. So like, he is unlikable, but I also respect the work ethic. And so, I think he's, he can't control that his dad was a 15-year Major League Baseball player and all that. So,
but I'm saying, like, I don't think it's crazy to say that he hasn't really dealt with adversity. That some of the, like, even if you look at the guys that he's in the same.
I mean, I guess like the main adversity that he's dealt with was going to Texas Tech to play college quarterback and being in the middle of nowhere, Texas, and not having a bigger opportunity to be on a bigger stage. That would maybe be like his adversity is like maybe being under recruited out of high school or something.
Like, yeah, I mean, he's still not the most prime example of that. Like, if you look at a Josh Allen, who was 0 stars and walked on at Wyoming, or
Travis Kelce, who was a 2-star recruit and had to go and went to Cincinnati. I mean, there's a lot of 0s rated, like Dallas Goedert, 0 rating out of high school, went to North Dakota State, 1st-round draft pick. Now he's in the Super Bowl again. There's a lot of stories like that. Mm-hmm. Joe Thuney, I want to say the Chiefs O-lineman, 0 rated recruit. Like, so there's a lot of guys like that, but then there's a bunch of, like, this Super Bowl actually has the most 5 stars.
I'm not saying he's never done anything difficult or whatever.
Mahomes is a 3-star recruit out of high school. Maybe like the most adversity he had was maybe being under recruited for what he was. But again, like, he's had adversity.
He had some moments of slight adversity, but my point was that his NFL career as a whole has been pretty ideal for, I've had this take, whatever, I'll say it on here, but like, I think if you take Lamar Jackson, you take Josh Allen, you take Joe Burrow, whatever, you plop them into the Chiefs at the same time that you put Patrick Mahomes into the Chiefs, I think all 3 of those other guys are producing Super Bowl victories as well. Like, I think he was handed a really great situation, gets a lot of favorable calls, has had a ton of weapons, has had the best coach possible, grew up with a professional athlete father. Like, there's been a lot of things that have gone right and been set up right for him in his life. Not his control. Can't say that. But I do think, it perhaps makes you a little bit entitled sometimes.
I think the entitlement has come from his success in the NFL more than like his lack of adversity as a person growing up to that. I think it's more of like what you said, the last couple of years of when that switch flipped. All right. So let's go ahead, Sam, and wrap up this Thursday show with some trivia here on the show. We like doing trivia on Wednesdays and Thursdays now. We'll do trivia real quick. I want to tell you guys about our friends at Bart Durham Injury Law. Crash can change your life forever, and help is just a click away at bartdurham.com. Your big truck wreck is Bart Durham Injury Law's fight for justice. You can reach the Bart Durham team 24/7 to get your legal questions answered. Their phone number 615-242-9000. You deserve paid for that. You deserve to be paid for that adversity you go through with any type of car accident that the Bart Durham Injury Law has had experience with since 1975 when they opened their doors. Bart Durham passed last year, a legendary Nashvilleian. Blair Durham, his son, has been with him for decades now, a Marine veteran, also a great, generous Nashvilleian, doing a lot of things behind the scenes in our community to improve our community, and also has his team there for you for whatever that type of car accident may be. So check them out if you need them, when you need them, bartdurham.com.
All right. Jake had said real quick how many we have, almost 3 times even more viewers as likes. So leave a like on the show as well. And look, we're not going to hold it against you. You can make up for it. But here's what you got to do. You got to go to Google and you got to leave a 5-star Google review in the legacy of the Lou Man, the famous Google reviewer Lou Man. Go do it. Go follow in Lou Man's footsteps, but then reverse it, where you actually leave us a 5-star review. It helps out A to Z Sports a ton. So if there's one thing you're taking a few minutes to do this morning while we get trivia set up, go ahead and leave a review.
There you go. Trivia time. Shout out Wilson County Hyundai. If you need a new ride, wilsoncountyhyundai.com is where to do it. In Lebanon, save some money right there. So say hey to Payne Bone for us when you go to wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Oh, Big Ten Jeff. Man, you guys are like on it.
Talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
And did I put you in a bad spot here by putting
No,
this on?
not in a bad spot. Everything's done. Everything's good. But yes, Jeff. Yes, Joe DeLeon, who has officially now the best name of anybody at A to Z Sports. Joe DeLeon is a member of A to Z Sports, and we're excited what he is going to be doing with Ryan Roberts and A to Z Sports Film Room in the near future. So, man, the people, Jeff's got sources in the streets.
Was this
Unless I don't know if he tweeted about it in the last hour. Had to have been, but yeah, that's the news, I guess, of the week. So Joe DeLeon is joined the team, and they're going to do really good stuff this draft season and beyond. So, all right, Sam, are you ready for trivia action?
Just about. Yeah. Jeff says Joe tweeted about it. So there you go.
Okay,
yeah, I'm ready.
There you go. Okay, here we go. Trivia time. Let's hit it. All right. So we start NFL, and we're going to go counterclockwise to geography around the whole board and finish with celebrity mashup.
Yeah, MLB, baby. We never have MLB when I'm here.
Yeah, we did not have it yesterday. We had hockey instead. And so I'm glad it's here when you're here and not when you weren't. Okay, right. Let's start off with NFL.
Horn. Here we go. A 2009 top 10 pick, defensive tackle B.J. Raji played his whole career with this NFC team from 09 to 15, where he won a Super Bowl and made a Pro Bowl. This is Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
B.J. Raji, pick 6 against the Bears in the NFC Championship game.
Boston College legend.
The Mountain Dew formula, the Parthenon, Haley Welch, Bridgestone Arena, Little Debbie Cakes, and Megan Fox.
Oh, how about that?
That originate from this U.S. state. Do we know this one, guys?
I did not know that about the Mountain Dew formula, though.
I didn't know that about Megan Fox. How we doing? Television. On what network did the hit drama This Is Us air from 2016 to 2022?
Is this CBS?
No, I think it's NBC.
NBC sounds right. I know it's an NFL market because I would see the promos.
So. All right, NBC. Bang. A box office bomb with a 6% Rotten Tomatoes critic score. Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez starred in this 2003 romantic crime comedy.
I think I've seen this, but I don't know.
I like Ben Affleck, and I don't know what this is at all. I've
2003. You're a little young there.
Well, yeah, but I've seen a lot of Affleck's movies. So yeah, help.
Man.
Help chat.
2003.
Jennifer Lopez 03.
The Town?
Not The Town.
No, Giggly? Who people are saying Giggly? What? Deep Water?
Giggly?
I mean, that's okay. I don't think I have seen that, so never mind.
Respect to whoever said The Town. Shorty get down, good Lord. Baby got him open all over town. Strictly bitch. She don't play around. Cover much grounds. Got game by the pounder. Lyrics from what 1996 Blackstreet song. This is No Diggity.
Who was brought back by Pitch Perfect.
Yeah, it was. The Chocolate Lava Big Cup is a variety of what brand of candy? Yeah.
Chocolate Lava Big Cup.
Big Cup is a variety of what brand of candy?
Cup makes me think Reese's.
Chocolate Lava Big Cup? I have no clue.
I mean, it's got to be Reese's, right? Because that's
cup.
Yeah. Who else has a cup? What other candy brand has cups?
All right. Yeah. Good call. NBA ranked by some as the number 1 prospect out of high school. This UNC Tar Heels forward averaged 16 points per game from 2010 to 2012, leading them to 2 Elite Eights, but no Final Fours. I think this Harrison Barnes.
That sounds right.
2012 Carolina sounds like a Harrison Barnes team.
Yeah. Forward. Yeah. Why are you in all caps yelling at us?
I don't know. Harrison Barnes in all caps. MLB. James Paxton threw a no-hitter while pitching for this American League West team in 2018.
Never heard of him.
Oh, that's the Big Maple is his nickname. And he played for Seattle.
Oh, God.
That is
Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, it's Cameron Diaz, and it's
Eric Stone Street.
Yeah, the guy from Modern Family.
Eric Stone Street, big Chiefs fan.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And A to Z reader, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. So a funny story about Eric Stone Street. Our Chiefs writer and managing editor, Charles Goldman, was at Chiefs training camp this past summer for a week and was sitting there, and Eric Stonestreet was a special guest of the Chiefs at camp and walked by and says, "Oh, hey, Charles, good to see you." And Charles was like, "Oh, okay."
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
shout out to Eric Stonestreet.
Is that the first time I've ever gotten a celebrity mashup?
I think
Both of them before you?
By yourself pulling
Yeah.
it.
I'm proud of myself on
That
that.
was nice. That was nice.
All right. Well, that's it for us on this Thursday.
I do want to say real quick, we do need to harp on the fact we very quickly, because we were doing trivia, we skipped over one of the best nicknames in all of professional sports.
James Paxton, Big Maple.
No, James Paxton is a big 6'8" lefty from Canada, and his nickname is the Big Maple, which I just think is beautiful.
Yeah, it fits. Sam, what was our trivia time? 3:22 is what Cam says.
Yeah, we are at let's see. Results, sorry. 3:22. Yep.
Dang, that's moving.
Nice. Yeah, that was a good sub 4 is good. So that's a nice number right there.
Yeah, for sure. All right, guys, that's it for us. Make sure you hit that like button, you subscribe to the channels, and you leave the 5-star Google review. And we'll be back tomorrow morning to wrap up this week and head to the Super Bowl on Sunday. We'll catch you then. Appreciate it as always. More content, A2Zsports.com/Titans. See you tomorrow. Buck Rising live tonight on his way back from New Orleans for primetime.